Spotify. Mr. Joseph, in 2017, Universal negotiated a new multi-year global license agreement with Spotify, where you allowed Spotify to reduce royalty rates if it met certain revenue targets. So has Spotify met those targets, and have the reduction in rates been passed on to artists?
Mr. Joseph?
Sorry, in terms of any, because this is, I should say, this is an incredibly competitive environment, and I mean, so competitive. There are so many more choices and so many more labels for people. I mean, I noticed when we were trying to open questions before, I should explain that I haven't seen Tony Harlow for about 10 years. So Tony, hi, or has probably spoken to Jason for a few years. So we are incredibly competitive companies. So I think you'll understand why.
But between you have 60 to 70% of the market.
I can only speak on behalf of Universal Music, but I can't obviously details of our deal for our music and our artists with Spotify is something I can't discuss publicly on this call. I'm very happy.
Well, okay, but I'm not asking you to give me details of
on this call. I'm very happy.
Well, okay, but I'm not asking you to give me details of the deal. I'm asking you. You came to this agreement with Spotify that results in a reduction in rates being passed on to the artists. That's the question. It's a yes or no, isn't it?
No, I have to take a step back because these are global deals. There are many of these deals because we're embracing as many music services as possible. You're talking about one, there are about 250, 300 agreements we have in place with different music services around the world, and they cover every corner of the globe. They're all different types of services, as we've learnt so far on the inquiry.
I'm sorry to cut across you because we are short of time, but the question is, did it result in a reduction in rates being passed on to the artists? I mean, that's a straightforward question. I'm not asking you to divulge details of the deal.
Well, then I'll take that there is no scenario where we are successful and our artists are not successful.
No, that's not. Excuse me, Mr. Joseph. I really do have to cut across his chair. I'm really sorry. Mr. Effort's asked you this question 3 times now, and we could be here. Frankly, I've got all day, so we could sit here all day. It's a fairly straightforward question. Could you please answer the question?
I'm happy to share any information about our deal with Spotify after this session today, but for competitive reasons, Mr. Chair, after this session today, but for competitive reasons, Mr. Chair, it is understandable.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry, the question is very simple. It's a reduction. It is a reduction. It is not the precise figures. You're in front of a parliamentary select committee now. Now, we've had, frankly, in the past with the likes of Google, Facebook and YouTube, but we've had them in front of us on Twitter. And we found them to be, frankly, dissembling and not being in any way clarity. So far, I have to say, you're beating them to the prize in terms of lack of clarity and lack of actual openness to a parliamentary committee. So Mr. Effort's going to put his question to you once more, and I do expect an answer. Mr. Effort.
Okay, so the question is, has Spotify met the revenue targets? You agreed with them, and has any reduction in rates been passed on to artists?
You're referring to probably a new deal that we
negotiated in 2017.
There's been subsequent deals since then with Spotify.
Well, you negotiated a new multi-year global license agreement with Spotify in 2017, where you agreed with them to reduce royalty rates if they met certain targets. So did they meet those targets, and did that result in a reduction in rates being passed on to the artists? Reduction in rates being passed on to the artists? That's the straightforward question.
We have increased because of streaming and digital.
Right, so no artist has suffered a reduction in rates as a consequence of that deal?
we've increased the amount we pay to artists, but it is important, and I hope we get a chance. And Chair, I really am an open person. I've been watching all these inquiries. This is a business that is so close to my heart and soul. But please, and so much has been done about this. What is a stream? How do our artists get paid? I really hope we can come on to that rather than focus on one company.
Okay. So, Mr. Joseph, you don't get to choose the questions.
I'm not.
Okay. Well, why don't we just? We're clearly not getting away with this particular thing for the moment. But what we will do?
Let me move on.
Order. What we will do is we will put this in writing, and we will request that you put this in writing to us, and you do it in a prompt fashion, and you're clear, even if the information is to be held privately. We want to get full disclosure from you on this. Is that okay, Mr. Joseph?
Absolutely.
Fine. Okay. Clive, sorry.
So I just wanted to add, it were similar terms negotiated with other streaming services. Mr. Joseph, have you negotiated similar deals with other streaming services? Mr. Joseph, have you negotiated similar deals with other streaming services? You mentioned that you
300 services. The primary purpose of that is to get our artists' music available all throughout the world, this incredible music, and we're the biggest investor to our artists, and we want to pay them as much through as possible. We have systems, Mr. Efford, where all of our artists can see exactly what they're earning from streaming and other sorts of revenue on their phone or on their browser. All of our managers look at how much they're earning. So there's no opaqueness, people who can understand, but please, and I hope you understand, in terms of like 250, 300 global deals, I don't have all the information to hand on all of those, but Mr. Chair, I will provide you as you request.
That would be really helpful. But your press release at the time said that the unprecedented access to data, creating the foundation for new tools for artists and labels to expand, engage, and build deeper connections with their fans. What data did you receive from Spotify, and how exactly is it being used?
So, if I may, for a second, focus on two resources we have for artist managers and
well, I'd like you to both focus on the data specifically.
I'm literally just about to.
Okay.
So there's two portals. One's called We Have. I can't speak on behalf of others in the industry. It's called Universal Music Artists. It's a data portal where managers can look up all the trends behind the streaming data for their artists, and that's by song, by platform, by country and audience. And it's incredible for tracking where an artist's growing their fan base, as well as how our marketing's working. I'm very, very happy for another time to show you, everyone on the committee, these incredible portals. The data's about 24 hours kind of lag. I even checked in on a couple of our artists earlier to see how they were doing in different regions. All of this data can be broken down. I mean, it's literally something I have on my phone, and you can literally look at an artist, you can look at their fan base, you can look at what age of person is listening to their stream, where they are, how many times they listen, what songs they listen to, what albums they listen to. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, there was one I saw, we've got a brand new artist, and I saw that a huge proportion of their streams was coming from North America and Brazil. And I should explain, this then goes, and something I'd also love to show you, to the Global Royalty Portal. And there an artist can see a detailed financial summary. They can see their exact royalty earnings from streaming, from different formats, and they can see it by track, platform, territory, personal advances, recording costs. I launched these at one of our meetings, managers meetings, something we usually do annually, to a small.
So, Mr. Jones, I'm really sorry, but I don't wish to know about your annual management meeting, if that's okay. This is a little bit like dilation, I think, in terms of the answer to the question. Clive, are you satisfied with the answers you've received?
There are a couple more questions.
Please.
If you want to move on, but I'm happy to move on to my next question.
Please do.